Tonight, an insider's guide to junior year. We have 8 panelists who have generously given up a lot of their time tonight to help give us some insights, and we greatly, greatly appreciate you guys being here. We're going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves, and then in the middle, Brian Rosario is going to go ahead and moderate the program. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mary McKinney, and I'm a junior at Deerfield High School.
Hi everybody, I'm Will Schmetter at I2 and a junior.
Hi, I'm Lori Fisher, and I am a parent of a junior and a senior, so I've just lived through junior year 2 years in a row. My hair's a little bit gray, but otherwise we survived, so I think everybody else will.
I'm Brian Rosario. I'm the Student Activities Director at Deerfield High School.
Hi, I'm Deej Nadamek. I'm the College Counselor at Deerfield High School.
I'm Lisa Moss, and I have a son who is a junior currently and a freshman.
I'm Emily Kenward, and I'm a current junior at Deerfield High School.
I'm Olivia Westrick, and I'm also a junior at Deerfield.
So welcome everybody. We've got some talking points that I'm gonna raise a question to the panel and then kind of pass it on to different people on the group and let them kind of answer it. And then, but if you have questions or if you need clarification or something, please don't hesitate to raise your hand and let us know. So I think why everyone's kind of here, well, what's so different about junior year? And I'm going to start with the students. So students, why is everybody here tonight? What's different about your junior year? Speaking of academics, activities, social pressures, what's different about junior year? Sure.
Well, junior year has just been a little bit different from sophomore and freshman year because I gotta say the homework load is a little bit more this year, and I definitely felt more pressure this year. But I've never felt completely stressed out that I can't function. And a lot of parents and my mom I know was definitely stressed out that I wasn't gonna be able to handle it. But it's definitely been very manageable. And the activities, it's pretty much the same. I've been doing the same activities since freshman year, so I guess just more. The workload's been more, and otherwise it's been ACT, obviously that's been different, but otherwise it's pretty much the same for me.
Junior year has been kind of a big transition for me, definitely socially and academically. Academic-wise, everyone's talking about colleges, everyone's taking the ACT, and people are so stressed about it. And so, we're doing these college visits, and I'm thinking, wait, just 2 years ago I was so focused on just doing high school, and now I'm already 2 years away from going into college. So that's definitely been a big step. And socially, I had a really unique group of friends that I thought were very unique my freshman year. And socially, things began to shift around, and I started branching out to other people, making some new friends, and having these stronger connections with new people. And I think it's been a really interesting experience, and I'm really happy because it's allowed myself to grow. And ultimately, that's what all these juniors, that's what myself as a junior that I've really gotten out of everything.
For me, the biggest thing is definitely thinking more about your future, because before it was, when you're little, it's oh, what you want to be when you grow up, and you're like a princess or super random stuff. But now you have to see if you're not going to marry a prince, you have to seriously think about what you want to be. And for me, that was the hardest part because I've been through probably every career option possible. So thinking about the future is my biggest stress. And then definitely ACT, because now you have an added test on the weekends that you have to study for, or choose to study for, so that was definitely harder.
For me, the biggest transition was teachers expect a lot more of you, and so do everyone. So just getting used to the workload and on top of that ACT, it's really not bad, but it's just that transition of like Emily said, looking to the future and really organizing your plans for life.
Because I was just going to kind of ask that, so how do you, so that a lot of you said there was added things onto your plate junior year, and you're all kind of nodding-ish. Yes, no, it's okay. But so there seems like so how did you start to manage that now?
Well, in the past, like I would just study for a couple hours for for like my tests, and now I have to like make a schedule, and I like plan my week ahead, and I really use my assignment notebook and like try and figure out when I'm gonna when I'm going to like do ACT studying, or when I'm going to study this amount for this test, when I'm gonna go out with my friends. Like you have to, personally for me, just like scheduling everything is how I manage.
Yeah, the same for me. I wasn't a very organized person through middle school and even freshman year. And then junior year and sophomore year came, more junior year now. But I've just learned I have to be organized, or else things would, like, I would say would fall apart, because I have to know when I have to study for a test, and I have to set aside time, because obviously staying up till 1 in the morning isn't a pleasant thing. So I have to schedule my time, and like I said, I use my assignment notebook all the time. So yeah.
Yeah, no, honestly, without a doubt, it's scheduling, because I can tell you freshman year, I mean, I'm not going to be afraid to say this, like my first semester final for my first honors course I was taking, like physics or something, and I got a C on my final, and I was devastated, because I was that kid who I would never study. I thought I just could learn the information and stick with me all the time. And so from there on, I began, organize, keep everything together. And so it's really paid off junior year. And I'm just really happy that kind of the organizational skills and the scheduling has, been there.
Parents, from your perspective, what's different for you? Like, what was different junior year than, say, freshman or sophomore?
Junior year is definitely more intense. The transition from, I think, feeling like there's, you're just getting adjusted to high school, all of a sudden you're in the middle of it, and there's that pressure to start thinking about colleges and the ACTs, and it kind of all piles on. So I actually noticed that I got more anxious about junior year because of all of that. But also at the same time, they're, in my case anyway, hitting their stride. Like, it's just getting really fun, and socially their worlds are expanding, and then I felt terrible I actually felt really sorry for my kid the entire year, because it's like the pressure, all what they're talking about. It's hard to watch them try to manage all of that.
In general, math got really hard all of a sudden. I don't know if you guys noticed that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, it gets hard in junior year. I think that overall they're dealing with a lot of, as far as parenting issues, they're growing up and wanting to be independent, and I had to do a lot of letting go and let them do that, which was a big change for me. So it's fun.
I mean, it's funny, so like as an activities director and as being at the school every day, and it's interesting watching that kind of change, because there is something special and different about junior year. Because it's like all of a sudden they're juniors, and there is a part of this like, oh wow, they just really grew up from the time they left us sophomore year to junior year. They just do. Like a lot of them do. Not everybody, but a lot of them do. Not everyone. But it is this where friendships change, things that they get involved in change. Some stay the same, and they're in the same thing for all 4 years or start. But I also get a lot of those juniors who go, I'm so mad at myself that I didn't do fill in the blank. And I'm starting it now, and I'm so mad that I waited this long to do it. But it's very common, and I get it every year, and it's usually like it's whether it's a sport, an activity, a class that they wish they had taken, and they go, now kind of like junior year kind of wakes them up a little bit, because freshmen, it's just, they're freshmen. And sophomore year is kind of that lost year almost a little bit. They're kind of like wandering around, and they're kind of just getting their feet wet and figuring things out. And junior year is kind of like when they the bulb kind of goes off, and they're like, wait, but I do like to draw. I should have taken that drawing class last year, so I'm gonna take that this year. Or I should have joined that club or that team. why didn't I do that? And all those things just kind of like snap into place. I mean, again, I'm generalizing here, but that has a lot, that happens a lot to juniors. Because I think there's that big kind of like growing up. So, VJ, for like the CCRC and from like your perspective, what changes junior year? Anything?
What's CCRC?
Oh, I'm sorry.
The College and Career Resource Center. So I feel like a lot of things happen for juniors junior year, like especially from the college perspective. I think I meet them junior year. You know, that's like first when I get to meet students. So I think in a lot of college-related activities are done in that junior year, trying to capture many things. So that can be the reason why I feel junior year is like even more hyped up in terms of college. That's my take on it. That's my sense. Like from there, it's like junior, senior, like goes real quick. And I think sometimes can be like when I have the college appointments, I feel like students do feel a little bit overwhelmed, and I try to like break it down for them so that it's a little bit, they can see where it goes and not feel like everything's too much.
So can I ask, you meet with each student individually and talk about what do you?
We have junior college appointments, so I meet with them one-on-one with their parents, and we take them through what to expect the junior year in terms of college, what they should be doing from now until when they apply.
So that was kind of my next, so let's give the parents a little like overview. So what can they expect? So now they've got a sophomore. What can they expect from your department, like to happen, like come the summer, come fall, winter? What is kind of like a little timeline?
Okay, so if you do, I mean, I love to point out some of the resources we have online in the DHS website. So if you go on to CCRC, we actually have the College Night for Juniors. That is a really nice resource because in there is the timeline that I want to point out for junior year that kind of clearly outlines things for you. But I think right now as a sophomore, we have the Sophomore College Night that's coming up on 12th of May. So that would be like the first kind of introduction, I feel, for sophomores. And then come junior year, the first semester will be the Junior College Night, which kind of sets the tone of what to expect for junior year. What are the things that needs to be done? The second semester is a lot focused with the junior college appointments that you will have with the college counselor. There are two of us, myself and Kristen Doctor. And at the same time, we have the junior groups that we have with students over 8 weeks that we take them through the different process that involves in the college application, as well as we also have workshops on Naviance, how to navigate, what are the things they need to do. We have financial aid, and then we have the district-wide financial aid and exploring colleges, that we have a panel from the different types of colleges, large public, small private, so that they kind of get a sense of what to expect, and then the financial aid, the scholarships, how to go about, what to think about in terms of that. Another big one that comes up junior year that parents have told me that it's really good is the navigating the college process that we do. What is the selective admissions like? What's the college recommendation piece, that essays that you're looking at, and interviews that we have a panel from different colleges come up. Like I think in the past we've had Lawrence and the final one, but we usually have 3 schools come out, 3 colleges to present. So I think that's kind of what you can expect for the junior year.
And there's a great, because I'm looking at it here, and so there's on the CCRC website, there's a great timeline of different things that happen kind of like every month and different things that you can expect. And then, well, you wanted to add something? Yeah.
So on Monday night, I know the program is for juniors. There's a thing about what to expect in the college process and lessons learned. And I would say I probably learned more for, my bang for the buck as far as spending my time on this at that, just because there are people who've already been through this. Like I was like a deer in headlights. I didn't even know, what to do. And even though you have sophomores, if you're trying to get a glimpse of it, it's a very worthwhile hour or two to spend.
I'm sorry, what is that?
I think it's Monday night. They just
It
have
is.
class.
It's Monday.
Here.
Here.
Right, I
On
believe
7th.
you're on that panel too, yeah. Glynis Hirsch, who you should all know if you don't already, she'll be on that panel, as well as BJ's partner, Kristen Doctor, and there'll be parents, and it's a very worthwhile program.
And I think that's also kind of helpful too, because you can come into the school and go to the meetings and stuff, but sometimes it's really nice to hear from other parents. It's kind of like sometimes takes, so kind of like someone who's been through that experience can kind of help you through that. Students.
Is this whole process initiated by your office, or are the students, do they need to start setting up appointments with your department on their own?
We initiate the process. We send out emails when to, like, you're talking to the college counseling appointment.
Correct.
Specifically, I believe, second semester, an email sent out to all juniors and parents outlining the steps of how to go about setting up those appointments. And I kind of missed out, but okay, the parents are remembered. We also do junior AM parent meetings. Kind of, parents have sometimes lots of questions. We kind of have that morning AM parent meetings once a month to kind of take care of some of those key things that they would like to know about the college process as well. And the senior year, we have one as well for senior parents.
And also, as I have a class of, my homeroom is seniors right now, but I also know that during the junior year, there was also a lot of messages that came from counselors and from the CCRC to the juniors during homeroom to say, hey, this is what's going on, remember this, and then there's specific emails, specific things to you as a parent of a junior to say, don't miss out on this opportunity. So those will come out. Did you guys, this year, have you gone to those meetings? Have your parents gone to any of those nighttime or morning meetings that have been held? Did you go to the financial aid or anything like that?
Yeah, my parents go to, or my mom does go to a lot of like the AM meetings. And so that's kind of nice because it's just a group of parents and the college counselors, and you're just discussing different aspects of college. And it's especially good because I'm the first, child to be, go through, college for, our family. I'm the oldest child. So it's definitely good for them to relieve their stress so that they relieve my stress a little bit. And then I also, definitely the junior college meeting is really helpful. So it was me and then my parents, and we talked with my counselor, who's Mrs. Doctor, about what career I might want to go into, and then what colleges offer that major. Also just I was thinking more small schools, so then we kind of narrowed it down. So that was really helpful because there's thousands of colleges, so it makes it a little less stressful.
Anything you guys want to add? Is there anything else you'd add to that? No, that's okay. So, one of the biggest questions I know that we get are, what are colleges looking for? So, things start to change, I think, junior year, and people really start asking that question. So, what are they looking for? What do I need to do? Vijay, we can start with you, and then parents and students can kind of add from there. So, I know you probably get this question a lot. What do colleges look for?
Overall, you know this, GPA grades, right? The rigor and, the challenging classes they're taking, ACT scores. And of course, college is always looking at that whole perspective, of a holistic view. So the extracurriculars, the sports or volunteer community service that they're involved in, for sure. And of course, that teacher council recommendations, that piece also comes in. And now you probably hear a lot about demonstrated interest. That's kind of captured, and the best way that's captured is usually with visiting the colleges, showing interest when the college reps are coming out to the CCRC, meeting with them and having that connection. So those are some of the things that the colleges would look at.
So when you say, because I get this question a lot, when you say getting involved in things, what does that mean?
So extracurricular?
Correct.
Community
most
service.
Important thing in the world.
So I think it's
I'm trying to keep my job here.
I think it's very important. I think it's very important because it kind of shows you beyond the academic arena, I think, what are some of your interests, what's your passion, what do you really, why are you doing them? What are you contributing to the community or to the school or to the, to your fellow students? I think it's very important. I know sometimes students ask me how many should you do or, what's a good number. I think more than that, I think the quality of what you do, I think is very important. More than just like telling me 10 things, but none of them like matter to you. Like, especially when we start doing college applications, they list it all down, and then there's a question always in the application. So would this be something you would do in college? And everybody says no. I'm like, so why do you do it? So just keeping those things in mind. There must be something that you're really passionate about. And it need not be like discovering like some rocket science or anything like that, but something that you have created, maybe working with students who are from, who have disabilities, and that you've made a difference for some of those students, it could be that. So I think that's...
So if I'm reading in between the lines, you're saying finding something that you love and are passionate about is more important than a list of 10 to 12 different activities that you go to irregularly and just are putting it on an application. And that's something that I think that we've strived, and I think it's kind of been a cultural change, and I think like a college change too. I think back in the day, it was how many things can you get on your resume, and I think they've gotten smart. Colleges have gotten smarter about that, and they know now, like, oh, if I'm just going to see. Now that doesn't mean if you have 10 activities, that doesn't mean that you don't care about them. But I think that they're looking beyond that. Where's your passion? What are you looking for? What are you fighting for? What do you believe in? And they're looking for those things of like, are you someone who's passionate about working with students with disabilities and are on a couple of those different clubs and are working in a classroom, or are you just have 10 different clubs listed down and there's no connection, and it all started junior year? They look at that and they see that, and those are things that we know. So just to kind of get that out there. Parents and students, kind of, what do you think? Agree, disagree?
No, I completely agree. I think the quality of the extracurriculars that you get out of it, how much passion that you have for it is extremely important, because it definitely will reflect later. But at the same time, don't think that there's one specific extracurricular that you have to focus on and just stick with, because it's really important that you're putting yourself out there and experiencing new things, because that's definitely the best way that you'll find what you're passionate about, and I think that's just really important.
Yeah, I would definitely say, like what everyone was saying, don't, like when your kids go to junior year next year, I was listening to an Honor Society speech from one of the seniors this year, and she was saying how she went to Costa Rica this year because she thought it would look great on her college application, and that's the only reason she did it in the first place. But you really have to think about like how it's going to affect you and what it's going to do for you, because you can't just think about how it's going to affect your college career, because in reality, like, it's whatever you do is like you have to love it. Because I'm a dancer at DHS and I'm on the dance team in the dance company, and I love everything about both teams, and I wouldn't have it any other way. And I know that everyone on some club or some company at DHS loves what they do, and the coaches are also really cool about, like, if you don't love it and then you want to try it out, they're cool if you if you don't want to try it out and then you want to try something else. If you want to go like late into their season, it's really, you can try out whatever you want, and all the extracurriculars are great programs. So.
But I was going to use you, and I was going to ask you about, because I know you're a dancer, and I know you're involved in those different things. I'm going to assume that it's hard for you to kind of do other activity stuff sometimes.
Yeah, it's definitely hard. I'm on a lot of clubs because I love extracurriculars. I make sure though that I'm like really involved in each one, and I don't just do it for doing it and like putting it on my college application. Like for example, I'm also in student council, and that like I really feel connected to that because it's like helping out the community, and I made so many new friends from different groups that I never thought I would make. So my biggest advice would be that you really get what you want out of each thing, and don't just do it for college, because then you won't enjoy it and then you won't find your passion.
As a parent, I have to say, I've always heard like, get your kids involved, but I'm also a clinical social worker, and I think it's really important to manage your own anxiety about your kids. So if you have a kid who is a sophomore and hasn't yet found their thing, you're better off managing your, like, I even got anxious about it, and I'm pretty attentive because I have a clinical practice and I know what happens to these kids. So just manage your own anxiety. The high school does an amazing job of getting the kids involved. My son is just this year, like, finding some things, and I was guilty of sort of hassling him a little, and that didn't help. You can't, like, you know, make something grow if it's not organic. So I don't know if anyone saw this article, but there was an article today in the New York Times about I won't read it, but no, it wasn't the New York Times, Washington Post. There was just another suicide in college, and it's a big mental health concern. So, like, don't hear this stuff and get anxious. Just know that, like, they will find their place. The high school does a good job. We're better off, like, staying out of it. And some kids are late bloomers. Like, some kids junior year might still not be doing something, and you just, as a parent, you have to accept that. You have to just, like, leave your kid alone and be supportive and not give the message that they have to do something. So, sorry, that's my mental health soapbox. But
the only thing I'd say about extracurriculars is I hope everybody goes through the friendship shifts without drama and things like that, but if they do happen, extracurriculars outside of your comfort zone are a nice way to shift into something and think about something new. So just an idea, you know, if they're sports kids, have them try a little theater thing. If there's some great, there's Knowledge Bowl, what's it called? Scholastic Bowl, where they just go and play trivia games. And there's this unbelievable, my favorite thing, I'm going to give you...
More than that. They just can't fit their states. They can be very upset with me right now.
Okay, I'm sorry.
The trophy is in my office.
I'm promoting it. It's a good thing. It's a great thing.
I know you are.
But I'm saying as a kid, it's a low pressure thing to go do. That's what I'm trying to say.
Right, no, absolutely. No,
And I'm going to make a plug for another, I think, secret kind of organization that a lot of people are not aware of, which is Theatrics, which is a non-competitive comedy improv group. There's no auditions, there's no tryouts. These kids just go once a week before school and they play improv comedy games. They just hang out and play games. The teacher's unbelievable. It's easy. No commitment, no tryout. What?
Mr. Wriggler.
Yeah.
Everybody loves Mr. Wriggler.
So, I mean, there's just so many things out there, and if you're at a point where your kid's going through something or your kid just needs something else to do, talk to some other parents, because you'd be surprised how many things are out there that you don't even realize are there.
And I do, I'll grab you in 1 second. And I do talk to all the time, and please always feel free to email me or call me. My information is on the website. I talk to sophomore parents, junior parents, senior parents about getting involved or trying something, because a lot of times if something comes from you, it's way different than coming from me. And yes, usually we start the meeting with, Mom made me come here, and that's okay. And then we get past that, and then we talk, and we move on. And it usually, like, you know, there's chocolate and they're fine, you know, like that, you know. So, you know, we have that kind of conversation that doesn't come from you. Because one of the things that I also want to, because we kind of like briefly touched on it, and kids, the parents in this room promise not to report back to your parents. But do you have that parent pressure as well? Is there pressure from your parents? Yeah, and yes, no, whatever it is, but what is that like? Because I think they're in the audience and they don't want to make mistakes and they want to do the right thing. So what kind of pressure do you have from your parents? I'll start over here.
I mean, my mom and dad have done a good job of, like, I don't know, like, instilling hard work, and, like, really caring about grades, and I'm sure you guys have too. So they don't, like, put that much pressure on me of grades because I do that for myself. But just, like, I don't know, they're really supportive, and they don't, obviously they want me to do well and succeed, and my mom will get upset if I get a bad grade, but mostly put the pressure on myself. They're more supportive than anything else, and I think that really helps because, like, if I get a bad grade, my mom knows that I'm already mad at myself, so it just, like, would add, like, insult to injury if she would yell at me too. So just like say, study more, look at your books, talk to your teachers, or anything else like you could do, learn from your mistakes, and I think that's like the best thing you could do.
Yeah, I agree with Olivia, because like my parents have it easy. I'm pretty like on top of my school. Well, I'm pretty like on top of my schoolwork.
We're going to call them in here in a minute. We'll get them on Skype to make sure. No, I was kidding. Go ahead.
So, like all my school, like trying to balance things, I'm pretty organized, so that wasn't really the issue. But for me, I am not a big like standardized tester. I was not a fan of the ACT. So I was the first ACT I took, which was in October. I wasn't really motivated to study that much. So then the second ACT that I took, which was the free one, I decided that, or well, my parents also decided that I should get somebody to just, like a tutor, just to try to give me more motivation, which was definitely a big help for me personally, because then I took it in the free one in March and now I'm done. So that was kind of nice to like a little push, but not like overbearing.
Can I ask an ACT tutoring question? Does the school offer any? Is that a topic you're?
Yeah, we'll get to ACT, I promise.
All right.
I know, we always save that for a little bit, though. That's always the big finale, like the big firework finale. Everybody loves ACT talk. Right, yeah, I promise.
All right, so I don't know, for anyone that knows my mom, everything junior year related, it all just goes to her head. And it's been, I have to admit, I'm not gonna lie, it's been super stressful. That relationship with me and her. But here's the biggest thing, like if I'm gonna give you guys like one big tip, like I'm so super supportive, and me and my mom, sometimes our relationship will have its bumps in the roads, like no question, no doubt about that. But always know that we're extremely appreciative of all the support that you guys give to us. We really do care, and honestly, like it's going to seem extremely stressful at times. I promise you that. But keep giving that support and that care, that love, and that's really gonna get your junior through the year. I promise.
Yeah, me too. My mom works at the school, so it's a little bit, she sees everything, so she's definitely like, all these people are going to Harvard and Stanford, like, she's like definitely stressing me out sometimes, but she's very she's understanding that I can't do everything at once, and she knows that, I'm taking harder classes, so all A's is sometimes not going to be possible, because sometimes you have to realize that, or my mom has to realize that that I can't, sometimes I'm going to do my best as much as I can, but sometimes your best is just, it's not gonna happen, because you're trying to balance all these things at once, and extracurriculars and ACT, and that's sometimes junior year. Sometimes people really exceed in that, and they're good under pressure, and some people aren't, but it's gonna work itself out, and that's what my biggest advice is.
I want to go back to activities for a second. I had a question about that. So, you said that junior year, kids are trying new things and they're doing all that. I can only speak for my daughter, but the girls talk, and they mentioned there are a lot of things they're actually interested in trying, but they say by junior year, some of those clubs are essentially those kids have been doing it since freshman year, sophomore year, and they're very closed off to new members, simply because other kids have developed. For example, I'll just throw one out, Model UN. So Model UN starts, it sounds like, freshman year, maybe sophomore year, and then seems to be closed off. And to enter it as a junior, I've heard, and again, I'm only hearing it from, sophomores and freshmen, is that it's not as easy to work your way into some of these clubs the later you get into high school. And so a lot of kids give up, or they don't even think it's a possibility anymore. And so I'm curious to know, are we talking about the clubs that, like you said, you don't have to try out, you can just join, or is there open-mindedness for kids who may not have found their direction freshman and sophomore year, and all of a sudden junior year want to try out for, I don't know, I'm only thinking of Model UN, but DECA or some of these other clubs that maybe they hadn't considered earlier on that have developed this interest in?
So here's what I know. I can imagine that from a student's standpoint, a competitive club like Model UN, which is competitive, which so kids have been in there and learning how Model UN works, what the questions are like, what the competitions are like, all that stuff, and then learning from the coaches and strategies. I can imagine walking in their junior year, that would be difficult. No doubt about it. Because some kids have now been in it 2 years, and now they're starting their third, and now I'm going to walk in, and I've never been in there a day, and that could be hard, without a doubt. Knowing the coaches of all my competitive teams, I don't think there's one of them that would ever say, oh, I don't want a junior. No, they want to win. So if they want to do well. So I mean, like, they've got somebody who's like really into being a mathlete and does well in math and like wants to join. No, it's not going to be simple. But one of the things that I try and talk with when I meet with sophomores or juniors or seniors who are entering late in the game, I go, okay, so you're coming in late in the game. So pretend you're like a freshman again. And like, you remember how hard that was, like walking in this building the first time new? All right, so you're walking in new, but you're not 14 anymore. Now you're 16 or 17. So you just kind of like go for it. And if you don't go for it, you're just going to be sitting back and waiting. So I'm not going to, and I never look at them and I go, oh no, it's simple, just go. I'm not like that. So I don't ever say that. But like, so Model UN, Scholastic Bowl, Mathletes, Warrior Dance Team. I can imagine like some of those girls have been on the JV or the varsity team. Some girls came in 8th grade, like right into varsity. I can imagine trying out your junior or senior year for that dance team would be hard. Not impossible, not wrong, but hard. So those kind of clubs, but please remember that those clubs are few and far between. My competitive group is maybe a list of under 10. I've got 50 more that aren't competitive. So, and I know I've got theatrics where people are joining all the time and going into. I've got my stage crew where I know that people have entered that. I've got art club. I know kids who have found art junior year and have gone, oh my God, I love Mr. Black, he's amazing. I'm gonna go into art club, Mr. Sikora, and work with him. And they're like, oh yeah, this is great. So I think it kind of depends. Competitiveness is competitiveness, and I think that goes with activities or athletics.
But my son's junior year was, he kicked himself. He wanted to be in Model UN, and he went for a junior year, and he did it for 2 years and loved it. And so, I mean, he was like, I really wish I had done it freshman year. I should have done it, but I'm going to try it. And, we tried out, and he did it. And he did it for 2 years and had a fantastic experience. And he just had to go out and try it.
Right. And I don't think, like, my son tried out freshman year. They only took one freshman. He didn't make it, but a bunch of freshmen tried out. And then I don't think a lot of freshmen make things, some of those competitive teams. Very little.
My kids are involved in the theater department, and my son is a second semester junior, and he's just doing stage crew for the first time for this show, and loves every second of it. They're building things, they're doing really cool, fun stuff. There's lots of opportunities for juniors and seniors. There's this show called Stunts, which is the student-run talent show. You can try out as an individual act at any age. There's no, it is what it is. They do a musical dance number, so if they're not on a dance team, at least they can do stunts. It's boys, it's girls, it's like 50 kids. So there's lots of opportunities.
With student council, there were already like applications due probably in January or February. For some reason, your kid just didn't finish the 7-page application. Is it too late? I mean, is it too late for them for the following year?
I can answer that.
I'm just curious. I don't know, like.
I mean, yeah, because applications start the year before, so people that applied, like, say, sophomore year and got in, they would be joining the meetings, like, at the end of their sophomore year. I have a friend who's a junior, and she applied, and she got in, so she's going to be on student council senior year, so it's never too late to join. So if they didn't complete it sophomore year, they could do it the
But they need to wait a full.
Yeah, because it's already like closed, and like the new year's already begun.
Yeah.
It's sad, to me that's sad, like a quality person just maybe. So for freshman year, because I got 2 more kids coming, they would do it in 8th grade apply to be freshman?
No. Not when 8th grade,
Okay.
but,
I think you're in.
well, you don't apply, but you can, there's ways that we take, what we do is, with the 8th graders, we always want for that first meeting because it's in the summer. So we get some, I think it's like, I don't know how Shepherd and Christian do it, but we get a few people that apply to it. Then, when the freshmen start, then an email goes out and applications go out for them like general membership. But for 8th graders, we want a small group because we need there. Here's the problem. We were already starting to work on, I'm already into working on the contract for prom 2017. We're already working on homecoming, like we have to get those kids are already like headed on to retreat, when's it, week, 2 weeks?
Yeah, next week.
Like to plan and get done with homecoming, like, because that stuff, like when you're running a school of like 1,700 people, like there's a lot to do. So unfortunately, we can't, like, we make sure that every kid knows when the application is, they have plenty of time to complete it, but unfortunately we can't wait through August to get it all done because there's so much to do. And student council, we need those kids who are organized to get things done on time because they do so much work. But that's just student council, because now there's an exec board for every single grade. And I don't want to turn this into like promoting activities,
It's too
but
late for that.
we'll talk about that later.
Whatever.
So we'll talk about that later. But so like there's so many different things for kids to get involved in and try. But I'm gonna bring it back, and then we can always talk later. Yeah.
I just want to add one more thing. For kids who are like interested in that student council type thing and they feel like they can't quite get into it, there are church, synagogue, key club, youth groups that are looking for good leaders, that are smaller groups where they're really getting hands-on opportunities to do all the things, planning events, going through the ups and downs, and getting that full thing. And all those groups could use support from all the kids in our communities. So there are absolutely opportunities
A lot.
everywhere for that stuff.
Can we go back to working with counselors a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely.
How many counselors are there for juniors?
College counselors?
College
Yes.
counselors, 2, okay. So are the kids assigned to one specific counselor, or do they work with both? How does that work? That's one question. And the second question is, when I look at the websites of colleges, a lot of them say they want not just a teacher recommendation, but a counselor recommendation. Is that the junior counselor, or is that the counselor they're currently working with? And if it's the junior counselor, how do you get to know the kids in a short period of time? To like give a recommendation?
Okay, the first one, so when we have the appointments for junior college counseling, the second semester of junior year, we will have the option to have an appointment either with me or with the other college counselor. Whoever works out based on your slot for the, like, because of, based on your availability and your student, when he's free, he or she, the college counselor that you meet with will be the one that you will meet with from then on.
Okay, so it's like 2 years sort of relationship?
Correct.
Okay.
1.5, because you start second semester.
Okay.
The other question about who writes the counselor recommendation, so your son or daughter would, when he or she came in as a freshman, would have had a general counselor assigned.
Right.
That will be the person who writes the college counseling recommendation.
Because they're the one who knows them the
Okay.
best.
Right,
Yes.
I didn't quite understand.
Right.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So just, I want to kind of switch to a little bit of social stuff, and then we'll go to ACT. So, because I know things are much different junior year. So it's like you're driving more, there's more social kind of events, there's parties, there's pressures. Students kind of start first. What kind of changed for you junior year on the social scene?
I can start.
Yeah,
Go ahead. All right, so the first 2 years of high school, I literally thought I had the perfect group of friends, that nobody was going to drink, nobody was going to do drugs, and I thought I was part of this group that was just so perfect. Honestly, that's the word I thought that described us. And come junior year, everyone's starting to drive, people are starting to actually go to parties. I've had, the group that I've always been a part of that's been perfect in my little world, it was me and 3 other friends, and 2 of them, fortunately I still have one who I'm really close to, but 2 of them, they started to drink, they started to do some drugs, and they even started to gamble. And this was so shocking to me. It doesn't mean I've lost that relationship with them, but what I've done is I've branched out to other people, and I've met more people that I like to connect with, kind of share the same qualities with me, maybe different qualities, because that's, I think that's very important. And really, in the end, it's going to seem hard, and it's going to be really stressful too, because juniors are so worried about their academics, extracurriculars, and when that social aspect seems to be falling apart, it can be tough, and that's also where parents come in and support them. And one of those things that, again, that we're all very appreciative of. And so I'm really fortunate to have made some awesome new friends right now. They're constantly there for me, and usually that's how it's going to work itself out. When you kind of advocate for your kids to branch out, meet new people, you're going to see that they're going to have these longer lasting relationships with these new people, and it really does work itself out.
Yeah, for me, definitely like going along with extracurriculars, like being on a team with older kids, and I was really intimidated with my dance team for like the first couple, like up until like a few months ago actually. I was really intimidated of most of the girls, and I was scared I wasn't going to be friends with them, because I'm not really one to be like, hey, like I definitely am like willing to be friends, but when older girls, I get really nervous, and I don't know, I get really self-conscious. But I've made so many new friends, and being on these teams, I've gotten to know like so many new girls, new boys. Like throughout those teams, like you get introduced to new people, and everyone you get to know is I've gotten to know people through extracurriculars, through my friends, and there's definitely so many people that you can go to, and my group of friends has stayed the same, and that's not to say that happens all the time, because I've definitely made so many new friends, but for the most part my friends have stayed the same. We've branched out, some of us, but I've learned a lot, so socially it's, yeah.
Can I ask you,
Yeah.
let me ask you two first, sorry, I'm getting in the face. So, be honest, has the pressures this year for drinking and drugs been different than any other year?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I'm something I'm not going to lie about.
Okay, so now here's what I think as parents, now they're all kind of going, oh my God, in their seats right now. So tell them, what do you need from the parent? What do you need from a parent about all that?
Okay, so it's really important, you sit down with your kid, you look them in the eyes, you tell them what is it that you want, and I promise you, as long as your junior is finding whatever he or she is passionate about, I promise that's what's really important. In terms of drugs and alcohol, make sure you're having those talks with them, because if you're not there showing support and you care, sometimes it can slip away, and you really want to make sure. It's important to be on top of things, but then again, it's about finding that balance between making sure your kid is having that sense of individualism, as well as that care that you guys are giving. So making sure you guys find that right balance, that's definitely what's been really helpful for me too.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, there's like been more pressures this year than any other year, and you just have to from the parents, I guess, just be very like supportive, talk to them about it, and not make sure they're so oblivious, because going into this year, I was kind of oblivious to it, and then I started, more of my friends got involved in it, and you just have to kind of know when to say no, and you shouldn't be pressured, because I know that especially where we live, and a lot of older kids get involved in it, and not a lot, but some. It's not a secret, but you just have to know when your limit is, and you have to be confident, because I know that a lot of kids feel like they have to impress someone, and your kids have to know that that's not the case. You don't do anything you don't want to do, because dangerous situations can happen.
Thank you. Olivia and Emily, as your parents, and to be honest, have they had conversations with you about drinking or drug use?
Yeah, definitely. And I think something that helped like get the message through my head is like my mom, I'm not saying like tell them all your crazy like college stories or whatever, but my mom definitely like made it relatable, and she said like I've done stupid things, like you have to be smart in like these situations and you have to think about it, like like if you're at a party, don't get into a car with someone that you don't know if they've been drinking or not. Like you can always call me. And I think something that's really important is like establishing that trust, because I think a lot of the times the kids get in situations that they're scared and like they could get in trouble. Like say they go to a party and they're drinking and they don't know what to do and they just want to go home. You have to like let them know that you want them to call you. Like that is the first thing that you want them to do, because I know like the only thing you want is your kids safe. And so I think a lot of kids are just scared to call their parents. They're going to be like, I'm like going to get yelled at, I'm going to get in trouble. But you just have to let your kid know that like you're there for them and like you're supporting them. But like obviously be smart, because eventually they'll like get in trouble. So after the scary part's over, then you can yell at them.
Well, yeah, then don't be afraid to set like not really a restriction, but kind of just like rules or regulations. Like if you do something bad, your privilege for like a car will be revoked. Like that's definitely a good thing, is to take the keys away, or if anything. That's like a good,
it's effective.
Yeah, it's an effective tool. But don't be afraid to. You definitely need to like have something there that'll like kind of show like your power over them. But like it's, you know.
I also think something like going back to the friends. Like luckily I have like a really strong group of friends that were not into like the drinking or partying or anything. But I think that if you're I don't know. I think you guys know like how your kids' friends usually are, and if you know your child has been like saying, well, this person's like been doing this, and I don't know if I want to hang out with them, but then they're scared that they're gonna lose their group of friends. Like it's totally okay to go and like find people that, like Will said, share the same like morals and interests as you, and it's like you'll find like other people, and if you feel uncomfortable, you don't want to have like that bad influence around you.
So parents on the panel, what changed for you junior year?
I'm going to say junior and senior year, and I'm going to do it across because I don't want to pinpoint my own kids. I mean, we're friends with a lot of people, and I'm very aware of what's happening in the junior class and what's happening in the senior class. And kids are doing a lot of dumb things. I mean, it is what it is. I'm not judging. I'm not saying things, you know, my kids do dumb things too. So I think the best thing you can do is just provide, and it's so hard to do, is just provide a safe conversation with them. And to not, I'm not saying permissive, but trusting, and there's certain things that are non-starters, and you've got to decide how you feel about it, and you've got to decide how you want to communicate, because it's the line of communication that's going to be a do or die here. And I will say that the anxiety that goes on around when there's a turnabout dance or when there's a homecoming and they go on a party bus, they're doing stuff on those party buses, and they're taking pictures and they're sending it, and you know, you just need to have conversations about what's going on, and if you think they're not, you might be wrong. So it's reality, and it's here, and it's very prevalent in our community, and you have to decide as a parent how you want to handle that. And I'm not judging anybody anywhere. I'm just saying it's here, and you really need to think about it and think about how you want to deal with that with your child. And it's hard. It's very hard.
Juniors need babysitters. You can't leave. By junior year, probably all through high school, parents don't realize like your kids need you around more than when they were 3. I say that to my client. Like toddlers need supervision so they don't burn their hands, and adolescents need supervision so they don't make stupid decisions. So they need, I mean, we don't go out and say, I mean, no group of children should ever be congregating in your home unless you're home. And you need to know what's going on. They need to know you're there. You need to be going down, I mean, checking your basement. You got to be like smart.
So when they hear, Mom, you're the only one who's asking, you're the only one who's calling,
Yep.
you're the only one,
You're right. I am. I mean, I might be.
Well, I mean, but there you go. So you are doing it.
I don't care.
You know where your kids are and
Right.
things are going on.
I'll give you one example. My daughter was at a youth group thing and went back to someone's house, and this mother did something I thought was brilliant. She had each kid, when they came back into her house, type their name and phone number into her cell phone. A, she was checking that they were sober, and B, she knew who every kid in her house was right there, and she was right up close to them. I mean, if that's, and, you know, my kid did it, and, you know, it was fine, but I thought that was such a smart, you know, if you're going to be a host, and you're concerned, there are ways you can do things discreetly to see what's going on. And to let the kids kind of know you're going to have to type your name into a cell phone when you get here. And nobody's leaving.
They don't mind. My kid doesn't mind. I mean,
Right.
we're happy to host anytime, but he knows, like, what, you know, there will be no laws broken in our house. We're very clear about that, and he doesn't mind. And
But you are going to hear that you're the only one who cares and is asking, and what you're hearing is, that's not true.
Well,
No, right? So kids too, parents, your
My mom
parents
is
get
that
involved.
one mom that like, I'm checking all the bags, like,
Yeah.
on party bus, check all the bags. Or even
Yeah.
say you are, because even if you aren't, kids get scared, they won't bring anything. But yeah, my mom like calls, makes sure their parents home, like everything.
There's stuff happening in your bathrooms at the high school. As a freshman, my son saw like his senior student teacher doing something in the bathroom, like drugs in the bathroom at the school. So it's like, I don't know.
Anything can happen anywhere. You're right.
So the guy checks bathrooms every once in a while.
Well,
There's police.
Okay, let's move, oh, yes.
Does it not escape everybody that it's just illegal? I mean, not even judging and everything, that it's just illegal. Like, oh, it is illegal.
well, that's not just for the kids. A lot of parents don't realize. I mean, they realize it's illegal. They think it's okay. So
Well,
I know.
that's the reality.
a year ago on this panel, there was a parent who spoke and was talking about how she realized that she had to talk to parents to find out what their views were. And it frightened her.
Yeah,
Because she had no, don't assume that you think someone you've known since your kids have been 5 together, that you guys share the same belief system.
Yeah.
Because you don't. And this parent spoke very, you know, like, I was surprised, I asked, and their decision-making was like, what, you would allow that in your home? They couldn't believe it. So parents need to talk to each other too, to find out, wait, what would you allow in your home? And she said the scary thing is, and the good thing is, they'll tell you.
Well, does it make an impact to the kids if your parent says to you, well, it's illegal, you can get in a lot of trouble for it? Does that like phase you guys?
No.
Wait.
I think a lot of kids, like, if they're willing to do it, like, they don't think about that. Like, they don't think about it until it happens to them.
The dumb mistakes the kids make.
The majority of kids
Yeah.
are like, yeah.
No, yeah. My mom like enforces it all the time. Like she always makes sure she has those talks with me because she knows that it's like, again, she's in the high school, she knows what things are going on, and she's not I think it's important not to be like oblivious of to what's happening, because there are things, dangerous things that kids are doing nowadays, and my mom makes sure to know that I know that it's not okay, and I think that's the most important thing. It does definitely. I get scared all the time because it is illegal and it's really dangerous, and it's like heartbreaking to know that there are kids who've gotten car accidents because of illegal drugs, like whatever, and that's just really terrifying. So I think that like scaring a kid, I think it definitely works.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's necessarily that we don't know that it's illegal. I don't think that's the issue. I think the issue is that there are a lot of juniors that think they're invincible, right? And that nothing is going to happen to them as long as they don't get caught. That's all that's important, right? And so that's really kind of just the truth about it. And I promise, like all juniors, we know it's illegal, we know it's bad, but again, people are going to do it anyway. And that's definitely where parents will come in and have those talks. I have those talks with my parents all the time, and so it's definitely really helpful to keep in mind what those consequences could be.
Let's let's get into ACT and talk a little bit. Let's start with VJ and let VJ talk ACT, kind of like from the school standpoint, and then we'll let parents and students kind of chime in.
Okay. So I think some of the questions that I get from students or parents is like when to take it. A good time we recommend is the December 1 during your junior year, because you'll notice a lot of the ACT content covers like up to junior year, so that would be a good start to take it. And the other thing is we do have study strategies in school that students can put that as part of their schedule to, if you need some kind of prep or support with ACT test taking. So that is something that some of my students have said that's been really helpful for them.
Study strats is a class. It's not an area to dovetail. That means it hangs on your science labs. So that's something, that's like a class that you could take. It's like 1 or 2 days a week. 2.
And can you still sign up for it if you didn't sign up yet?
So you can, but just that you're sophomore, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I'm in the junior mode, I think, right now. So yes, they can definitely put that in their schedule.
Talk to their counselor.
It's an early bird class. So I took it, my early bird first semester, and I thought that was really helpful just because I was about to take my first ACT in October, and so having this first semester class where I could see, like, do a few practice tests in like a non-stressful setting kind of helped me feel more comfortable with the questions that they're asking. So it was definitely nice to also early bird. It's before school, and that's, for me, it was easier with my schedule so that I actually still have my free period to do homework.
What's the name of that?
Study strategies.
Is there a summer school class or not?
No, it's during the school year.
How often is the ACT offered? We haven't even learned that yet.
So if you go to the ACT, or actually if you go on our website, we actually have listed the dates that the ACT is available, but you can also go on to the ACT.
Is it every month? Is it offered every month?
No, it's a total of 6 throughout the year.
6 months.
Right. And the other thing that parents sometimes ask me is like, as part of district policy, we cannot recommend tutors or some kind of outside test prep. But I always encourage parents to talk to other parents, because they, whoever they have used or they have found useful, that's something that they can share.